Hey, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Today I am going to be making macaroons. I found this recipe on an app called Lazy Keto, and you can find it in your Play Store. They have many recipes, all different categories, and you can choose simplicity or difficulty level. So that's kind of cool. This is going to be 3 ingredients. I have egg whites, shredded unsweetened coconut, and an artificial sweetener by Splenda today. So let's get cooking. Let's get started. Today is so windy outside. If you hear some whooshing, whistling noises, it's probably from the wind. It gets real quiet and then all of a sudden a big gust of wind comes up. Anyway, so we have, for starters, I'm going to crack my yolks. I need 4 egg whites for this recipe. I'll just put the yolks in here and I'll use them for something later. Separating the whites isn't too hard. I'm just volleying the yolks from one to the other side of the shell. You can also crack it right in your hand and let it strain through, but I don't feel like getting my hands that dirty today, so just doing this method. You do want to just make sure that you look in the bottom of, and I cracked one. But it shouldn't be too hard to get it out of there. Well, I wasn't anticipating that happening. It is not a common occurrence when I'm baking to crack it like that. But anyway, okay, so I'm going to, next ingredient, I have 4 egg whites here, and next ingredient is going to be 2 tablespoons of sweetener. Now this recipe originally called for sugar-free maple syrup, but I don't have it, so I just am gonna put an artificial sweetener in there. So I'm using the Splenda Naturals. It's stevia, essentially. Now, to this I'm going to whip it up until it's frothy, and then I'm going to incorporate the next ingredient. Put a little towel over my container so that I don't spray myself. That looks good. So my mixture is nice and frothy, which is what the directions say, to beat it until it's nice and frothy. I might have gone a little bit more because my sugar was granulated, or my sweetener was granulated. And the next is to add 2.5 scoops of coconut. Now I'm just going to stir the coconut until it's evenly coated. It didn't say anything about overworking it, so I would just try to fold it in slowly so that you don't knock all the air out of the egg white. So we're going to preheat our oven to 350. And we're going to line a baking sheet with some parchment paper. Don't use wax paper. I've had a few rough incidences where I didn't realize, before I realized, the difference between parchment paper and wax paper in my very early days of baking, and used wax paper. And it was an ooey gooey sticky mess that was so hard to clean up. I don't even know if I saved the pan because it just was almost impossible to get the wax off. I didn't know how. Now I do, but funny little story. Accidents do happen in the kitchen. Okay, so it is well coated. It's a really dry mixture, so see how it does in the oven. We're going to bake this for 20 to 22 minutes, and it's going to make about 15 servings. Let me just go get my baking sheet. Okay, so it says it makes about 15 servings, and I'm going to just use, I don't have a scoop, so I'm going to use 2 teaspoon measuring spoon and try to make little mounds. It's coming out of my little measuring spoon pretty easily. That's nice. Uh-oh, starting to get a little stickiness here. Okay, so some of them are just a little shaggy around the edges, so I'm just going to use my little spatula and just kind of push them in around the edges so that it's a little neater looking. Also, I think that if some of those are sticking out, it's going to crisp up and maybe burn the edges, and I want it to be evenly browned. These should be a nice kind of crispy outside and nice moist texture in the middle. All right, let's go ahead and pop these in the oven that's preheated to 350. Okay, let's bake that for about 20 minutes and check them out. If they need just a little more browning, then I will add a couple minutes and watch them closely. We don't want them to burn, and I'm so excited to have a macaroon. It's been a really long time. Okay, so the moment we've been waiting for is just about there. Let's see. Look at those little macaroons. I think they are just perfect. Let's get them out of the oven. Those look just perfect, and it does say to let them cool completely, which I would agree. They're not a chocolate chip cookie. Don't want to burn our mouth. Oh, those are beautiful. Nice golden bottom. Now I have about 3 or 4 minutes left on the timer. These maybe ended up a little smaller than what the recipe called for with the scoop, but perfect. Let's let them cool down and then we'll taste one. So I have a little disclaimer. I just threw this recipe together and followed the directions, and when I took a bite out of the macaroon, it wasn't what I was looking for. So I had a little more than half the mix left, and I added to it 2 more egg whites. And 1 tablespoon of sweetener. It just wasn't sweet enough. I want this to be a nice sweet treat to get me over my sweet tooth craving that I seem to be having more as I get older. Anyway, So I just adjusted the recipe, and this one was actually pretty easy, just to go back and whip up some more egg whites and add a little more of the sweetener and incorporate it back into that coconut mixture. When I tasted the first one, it was a little dry on the inside, and it is a lot of coconut, which I love coconut, but it just wasn't a good balance for me. So I have remade it, and we're going to take them out of the new batch. We're going to take out of the oven in just a few moments. All right, let's check it out. Okay, I think these are just about perfect. I'm going to take them right on out. Nice golden color. With that extra little bit of egg white, they puffed up quite a bit more. So let's compare. This is the first batch. It's pretty perfect looking. Just was a little dry, so they're a little bit smaller and look just as pretty. I hope they taste even better. Okay, take two of adding some ingredients to a recipe that maybe wasn't just right. This is also a good point about cooking, baking, whatever in the kitchen, is that you have to start to trust your instincts. And I quickly found that this recipe wasn't what I was looking for, and I was able to alter it to make it more to my flavor profile. What tastes good to me doesn't taste good to everyone else. So be creative in the kitchen, and if you notice that a recipe isn't tasting the way that you want, just add some more seasonings. A little pinch of salt, a little pinch of sugar can go a long way to balancing. Also, citrus added to things just elevates them. Maybe I should have put a little lemon zest in this one. That probably would be a good flavor for a macaroon. Anyway, I'm gonna take a little bite out of this one. Much better. Now, don't want to talk with my mouth full. I'll spit coconut all over your face or the screen. Anyway, this is a much better version of it. I think that adding a couple extra egg whites and an extra tablespoon of sweetener was really what this little macaroon needed, and it's sweet enough and probably filling enough that I can just have one, you know, which is good. When you want to have a treat, you never want to overdo it, so you want to have it the right amount of goodness that satisfies you. So I hope you enjoyed watching today. Sorry there's a little edit in the recipe, but you know, that's how life goes sometimes. I guess you just gotta fix it when you realize that there's a problem. And so I made a tasty little dessert, a nice little macaroon. It's keto friendly, or not, just add regular sugar to alter the recipe. And thanks again for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you soon. Next time is ice cream. Super quick. My own recipe. So cheers. See you soon.